Here we go, another edition of the Countdown to Kickoff show on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel, live from Screwballs. Great to be back with Rob Ellis and, of course, the coach, Henry Racich. And we come back off of Thanksgiving week, and we find ourselves leading into the doorstep of week number 13. And the Eagles now, of course, after that Sunday night win over the Packers, they may clinch a playoff spot against the Titans this week.
Yeah, a little help needed, but to be where they are right now, Joe, having played 11 games and you could clinch something, really speaks to how amazing the season is.
Yeah, no doubt about that. We've got a great show lined up for everybody tuning in on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. We'll get some injury updates and talk about what those injuries could potentially mean. I'm curious, out of the box, will Jordan Davis make it back into the roster? I believe he's eligible to be activated. Don't know whether or not he'll play. Probably not, but what do you know, Rob?
I think he will play, Joe.
Oh, you think he will?
Yeah, I think he will play. He practiced. He actually lost some weight during the time he's been away, which is a good sign. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I was worried my man was going to put some pounds on.
How do you do that injured?
We see him here at Screwballs just throwing down some cheesesteaks. I was worried, Joe. But no,
he did a quick fasting diet.
Yeah, apparently he's taking his conditioning very seriously, and by all accounts, this thing should be a go for him.
Wow, good stuff. That's unexpected news for me that he will now he'll be activated, and you'll think he'll play on Sunday afternoon.
I do, and I think about what this interior defensive line looks like now. If you could throw Jordan Davis along with Fletcher Cox, Hargrave, Sue, and Linval Joseph, I mean, there's probably going to be an odd man out here, maybe Milton Williams, but still, that's pretty formidable. And guess what? You need it badly against this team.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he'll definitely be like on a load management type.
He's on a pitch count. He's on a pitch count.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to get out there and get 50% of the snaps.
No. He wasn't getting that pre-injury.
He wasn't getting that healthy. So, and you don't need him for 50%. But, that wall, that green wall, why doesn't this defense have it?
I like the green wall. That's not bad.
The green wall that they're building here is will look.
It's no steel curtain, but,
nothing's a steel curtain.
Henry, tap that mic in a little bit. Just just bring it in a little bit closer. There you go. Okay. Just so I can make sure that your audio's transmitting out to our audience watching on the JAKIB YouTube channel. Let's get started. Opening remarks, Rob. Let me get them from you first, and then, Coach, I'll come over to you.
I had a lot more positives taken away from last week than maybe some people did. They don't like the way the game kind of played. I understand that, right? But here's the way I look at it, Joe. I mean, considering some of the things that went on in the game, my takeaway is Jalen Hurts and the Eagles' offense, it's not always going to be the way I think people want it to be, like football is now, where it's just throw. He's going to do whatever he has to do to win. And that was I thought it was a great example by the Eagles of just pounding the Packers with what they do best, not trying to be cute with it, not letting up, but doing what you did best, not outthinking yourself. And, we saw the kind of success that they had. I mean, historical success on the ground. Right. And for me, that's a good thing. And as far as the defense, you're going to see 33 points given up and think the defense was terrible. Two of those touchdowns were the result of really long kick returns. The other one was a result of a fumble return. I mean, and then the Eagles don't get the 4th and 1. They set their defense up to fail in a lot of ways. The defense wasn't nearly as bad as it was made out to be in that game.
The Achilles heel, of course, referenced there is the special teams. It continues to be a concern. I'm sure it's one that you talk about with Barrett and Gunner weekly, daily, on Sports Take from noon to 3 here on the JAKIB YouTube channel. I don't know what the answer is there, and I don't quite understand, Coach, what it means or what is so difficult on special teams. If you're on kick coverage and they kick, you stay in your lane, you run with your hair on fire, and you get to the man. I'm not quite sure I understand why there is such a deficiency with the special teams on this team.
Well, one fact will always remain true. Special teams will always be a third of the game that you have to pay attention to. Now, early in the season, we all knew special teams were an issue with this team, but everyone's like, hey, they're so strong in other places, they'll compensate for the special teams. But you would think it was that easy. Like, guys are just getting checks and maybe sprint down the field 5 times and go make a tackle. But, they may have to go to some starters, which is kind of crazy, to solidify the tackling that's not happening on special teams.
Here's part of the problem. Like, in today's day and age in the NFL, most kickoffs are kickbacks or touchbacks, okay?
Right.
It usually works out that way because the kickers are good enough to get it in the end zone, and usually the returners aren't going to risk coming out, right? But they know the Eagles' tackling and lanes are so bad. I mean, one of those returns was 8 yards deep in their own end zone.
And they still brought it out.
And Nixon took it back, and he went, 50-some-odd yards plus the 8 that were, if you're counting that 8. They're not afraid of it anymore. So it is a much bigger deal with the Eagles because teams don't have that fear of taking it out of their own end zone. That's why this is a huge problem. I mean, aside from Jake Elliott, the special teams are a disaster, right? And it's something that you keep, I was saying this to Coach before the show, you keep with your fingers crossed like this, it's not going to ultimately bite you. You survived it the other night.
It will.
At some point, it's going to.
Get them.
Well, I know Seth
at some
Joyner
point
on the
it
JAKIB postgame, on the Pond Hockey postgame show on Sunday night, live from down at Ocean Casino Resort. Seth Joyner referenced the Green Bay Packers, the team that they were playing a year ago, who went into the playoffs with poor special teams, and ended up losing in that in that conference championship game because of special teams. So,
I mean, if you're a team right now playing the Eagles, knowing their apparent run-stop situation, why not come out 6 yards deep with a weak special team coverage? So that's a phase of the game where, there's going to be teams that are game planning against a third, which is the special teams, as part of half of their to get 6. Mm-hmm. They're gonna scheme to break one against the Birds, and then that defense comes on the field. They keep giving up rushes. They give up short yardage. It could catch up. It could be significant down the road.
Yeah, I think one of the areas last week that surprised me, A.J. Dillon only got 8 carries. He was averaging 8 yards per carry. I'm surprised they didn't pound him more. Now, Aaron Jones didn't have the same level of success, and he's a really good running back too, but he just wasn't as successful. I thought, even though they were down, Green Bay got away from it a little bit. Tennessee's not going to get away from it.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah, they're not getting away from it.
I don't think, no matter what happens, they're not going to get rid of the ball.
Last week.
They're not going to get rid of the game plan.
Hell no.
Nah, they're going to try to prove a point, and knowing that the Eagles' Achilles on defense appears to be not their pass stop, but their rush stop. They're gonna feed them till the cows come home. They're gonna ride or die off Henry this week. Coming off a loss, they're gonna be tough.
I mean,
it's a tough team.
They come off a loss, and he had 38 yards. You're gonna have an angry Derrick Henry. So you hope that this looks similar to the Colts game. Yes, they ripped off that big series initially, but then the Eagles really settled in, and Taylor didn't do anything after that.
Yeah, and I thought the Colts got away from the running game.
They get impatient. Listen, I can understand the Packers coach getting away from the run game. You have Aaron Rodgers, you have a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah.
But there's teams that give up too soon on that run. It just takes a couple, grind, and you pop a couple, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, the recipe is out there to beat this very powerful Philadelphia Eagles team, and it was on display when they played the Washington Commanders, who ran the football.
Yeah.
Well, and they were able. The Commanders were able to stymie the Eagles' offense because, I mean, they're not even a high-rated pass defense team, but for that night they were all over the receivers. And they bottled the run up. So they laid the blueprint. The team that's going to knock the Birds off is the one that's patient and stays with the run and just doesn't abandon it.
Because it's twofold, Joe, and like we touched on. Not only are you going to have success and you're hopefully going to wear down the Eagles' defensive line, which, with Jordan Davis coming back helps, right? But you're also going to keep Hurts and that explosive offense off the field. You're just going to milk clock and not give them opportunities. Like, last week was the greatest game. I think the Eagles ran like 30 more plays than the Packers. Right? In large part because the Packers couldn't get the Eagles off the field, and they were just pounding them with the run game. And Rodgers, until he got hurt, wasn't on the field a ton. When he did get in there, he made some plays. But that's what everybody wants to do what Washington did. Let Hurts and those guys stand on the side. Let A.J. Brown, who's going to come into this game, on a mission against his old team. Let him just stand there on a slow burn on the sidelines. That's exactly what
it'll be interesting to see. A.J. Brown was one of the bullet points that I wanted to get your thoughts on coming into this game. Obviously, that's... there is, I don't want to say revenge, but there is I told you so.
Yeah, there's revenge.
Yeah.
A little bit. I mean, I know he wanted out, but he wants to show them, you should have given me the money. I should have never had to be in that position to ask for a trade. That's the way he views it. Like every athlete wants that chip on their shoulder. Brady's made it up for 25 years.
Right.
You know, he's still talking about whenever he was drafted, but even though he's won 100 rings, but they all do it. A.J. Brown's going to do it. And interestingly enough, Tennessee's defense is really good against the run. They're terrible against the pass. This should be a game where the Eagles should hurt them and be able to hurt them in the air if they chose to go that route.
I mean, Jalen Hurts has always been, since he's come here, to me, a big problem for defensive coordinators. I think he's playing the best football of any quarterback in the league right now. If you're talking about play and value to a team, he's number one right now. I mean, no one's doing what he's doing.
Well, what I get frustrated with sometimes is people will say, well, how many touchdown passes has he thrown? And I'll say, well, how many touchdowns does he have? I don't care how he gets in.
Yeah, right.
I don't care if he runs them or passes them in. And that's the thing for me is he's so dynamic and he's such a backbreaker on a 3rd and 5 when he scrambles.
Why are they not? It drives me nuts when I see him run and
they can't spy him. That's
they're not
the thing.
spying him. There's nobody can run with the guy.
They tried it with Walker last week, and he I was going to use a different word, but he crushed him. He took it to him pretty good.
Well, how do you stop him? What is the game plan?
You don't. You have to contain him. That's the old Michael Vick thing.
There you
don't
go.
stop Michael Vick.
Yeah.
You have to contain him.
Yeah.
But it's like, you could be as disciplined as you want. You can have your ends box. Everybody stays in their lane. Lets nobody commit. Don't create a run lane for him. And it won't matter because he'll outrun the ends. And if someone does get a clean shot, he's strong enough to break a tackles. Mm-hmm. One-on-one with a defensive tackle, he can break that tackle.
Think about a couple of the early plays last week. The early scrambles, he makes 2 ridiculous cuts on the first big one that he ripped off. They had him dead to rights.
Yeah, but all the cuts, all the moves from miss, and then he'll pick up extra yardage. Or he knows he's running, he's out of a gun, boom, and he doesn't wait long to break. So is that what he's going to see? Because if he's facing a number one
excellent rush defense, how will they approach bottling up Jalen Hurts? What's your sense of how do you attack it? And they have the personnel to at least try to contain him.
It's like defensively, you have to. It's like a controlled chaos. It's like listen, if you're blitzing him, you're selling out. You're not going to send a guy. You got to go.
The problem with that is you get upfield, and then if you don't get him, it's over.
If you think about the Eagles' offense, it is exactly, tailored. That whole entire offense is exactly the player that Jalen Hurts is. He's a hybrid. Yeah. He can run. He can pass. So they have all those weapons based on what this guy can do. So every time he breaks a long run, I'm like, all right, get down.
Yeah.
Because what does this team look like without him?
Oh, it's over. I mean, it becomes Gardner Minshew, and it becomes a regular offense.
And Nick is rolling the dice with these pre calls to him.
Yeah.
These pre-established runs.
Yeah.
Which the one on the goal line 2 weeks ago was beautiful. He dropped back and ran 12 yards untouched, right up the middle on the goal line. I don't think I've ever seen that.
But that's my point. That's how Jalen starts and gets yardage. How do you defend against that? And if you do, Jalen Hurts, Rob, makes up what percentage of the rushing total in a football game?
Well, Sanders had a big game last week.
But other than that, he's 50, 60.
He's in that range.
Yeah.
I will say this too, Joe. To answer your question, I think you got to get him up the middle. If you get him outside, I know the thought is if he gets outside, he's going to be really deadly. But like you said, a lot of this starts there, and then he takes it outside. I think any quarterback is susceptible to up the middle. But I will say this, and I've debated this with Barrett a lot on Sports Take. He doesn't care if Jalen has 25 carries. I do. I think it was 17 last week off the top of my head, whatever it was. There were a couple. There were 2 in particular that stand out. One at the end of the second quarter, one at the end of later in the game in the fourth. He got hit hard, and for a second, even for a dude as strong as he is, he was kind of like,
you're gonna feel it.
Ooh, for a second there. I'd love that to be a 10. I can live with 10. I think you're pushing it beyond 10 a little bit with him. I don't want it all of a sudden for him to be a statue. I don't want him to act like Donovan did at the end of his career where he didn't want to run. I don't mean that, but I don't need 17 out of him either. You got to find a happy medium a little bit with him.
He is. They're rolling the dice with how much of a percentage are design run plays.
Yeah.
You know, it just doesn't take much, man. It just, you know, he comes off a spin, gets hit, concussed. I mean, it doesn't take much to get injured like that. And they are rolling the dice, but he's just a really annoying weapon for any defense.
Coach, what's
he a middle linebacker that can run?
You better be able to fly.
That can fly.
Yeah.
Bring a strong safety in the box,
That's it.
something, but you do have to spy him.
Then if he sees it and the safety's up, you got these guys singled, A.J. Brown and or Devontae, and look out.
That's what I was saying earlier in pre-show. You need a lockdown secondary that can run man.
Yep.
A higher percentage.
Like the Eagles secondary. Like you could throw Bradbury and Slay man up.
Right, and you can man up and you'll be okay successful. They'll get theirs man, but that kind of defense that can dedicate 8 to the box to have a spy on that quarterback, that's how many defenses are like that?
There aren't many. There aren't many.
Well, will the Eagles will the Eagles pass the football a lot more than they will run the football in this game?
I wouldn't say a lot more. I wouldn't go that far because the run game's so good. However, if you're looking at the weaknesses,
the run game is good or great or however you want to categorize it. When Jalen's running the football, he's a big part of the running game.
He is, but their offensive line, period, is a much better run blocking offensive line than pass blocking. The left side, Mailata, something's going on with the shoulder, and Sayamalu, and you can throw Dickerson in there too. Those guys aren't as good in the passing game. Now, Lane Johnson, it doesn't matter. He crushes.
He can do either one.
So you're going to be more successful on the ground. But I think this is also, Joe, you do to an extent have to go ebb and flow of a game. Like if you're seeing that they're susceptible in the air, by all means kill them in the air. Like I have no problem with that if that's just the way the game's going. What I don't like is when teams give up on the run early because they're not getting 10 yards a chunk. If you're getting 3, that's okay. Just keep wearing them down, man. Just stay with it and stay consistent with it.
It's Countdown to Kickoff show here on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel as we come to you from Screwballs. Great to be back here on the other side of the break. Mark Farzetta will join us. We roll on. Back in a moment. Woo!
I regard, defamation cases as maybe the most important or the most profound cases there are, because we only get one reputation and you don't get a second chance once it's destroyed. To have your reputation destroyed is really to ruin everything about you. It ruins you, it ruins your family's view of you, it ruins your neighbor's view of you. You go to a party, you don't know who's looking at you sideways because they heard, you're a this or you're a that. It is an extraordinarily difficult thing to live with. And for that reason, when we represent defamation clients, it really is the most profound type case we could be handling.
Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, President of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
Do you stream on a Roku, a Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch Six ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
again back here on the Countdown to Kickoff show as we broadcast from Screwballs. Getting fired up for the Titans who come in 10-1 are our Philadelphia Eagles. And I was listening to Ron Jaworski the other day say that this game, Rob Ellis, and Mark Farzetta is going to join us and we'll bring him into the conversation. Jaw said this is going to be a very, very physical football game on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, this is a throwback team.
Yeah, 100%.
Mike Vrabel, Derrick Henry, this defensive line that the Titans have. It's very much a team that is looking to just beat you down and wear you out as the game goes on. This is a team that started off, they lost their first 2 games. And then I think they ripped off 7 of 9 after that. They played much better football as the season has gone on. They're smarting a little bit. They're coming off a setback last week, and I don't think they like the way they played. So I think they're going to try to sort of enforce their will on the Eagles this Sunday for sure.
Yeah, this offense is going to give the Eagles defense everything that they can handle as far as rush defense. Derrick Henry. The Bengals bottled them up last week. Their passing game, as we talked about, is nothing to really be afraid of. So if the Eagles can survive a juggernaut on the ground like Derrick Henry,
yeah, they'll be fine. If you even has an okay game, he has 75 yards, I'm happy, and the Eagles will win the game if that's the case, 100%.
All right, good stuff. Mark Farzetta joining us here now on the Countdown to Kickoff show. Great to bring Mark into the show. Of course, you'll catch him on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel, 6abc.com, with the JAKIB pregame show from down at Ocean Casino Resort. Mark Farzetta, how are you, sir?
Gentlemen, I am doing fantastic. Great to be on with you. Thanks for having me.
What's up, Mark?
What's going on, Robbie? How you been, bud?
Mark, good, man. Let's start with this. So I would always prefer the opponent having won the last week that they played coming in. So you have a Titans team that's coming in off of a loss, and they didn't establish their bell cow. They didn't get Henry going. 38 yards, I think it was, against the Bengals. If you're the Eagles, obviously you're studying that blueprint that Cincinnati put out there, but how ticked off does he come in and that offense looking to get him going in this game?
Oh, I think it's probably priority number one. I mean, I know the old cliche in football, and it's cliche because it's true, is, you want to be in a situation where you can set up a pass with the run, and nobody bases their game on that more so in the NFL right now than the Tennessee Titans. And even if you go back before the Bengals game, I mean, against the Packers did a great job of sort of containing Henry, at least keeping him to about 3.1 yards per carry in that game, and they were able to get their air game going. Weren't able to do that against the Bengals. But, man, if you're Derrick Henry, you're that offensive line, and even Ryan Tannehill, who wants to give the ball to his bell cow, they're going to be just foaming at the mouth to try to attack this defensive line that the Eagles have obviously bulked up a little bit over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no question about it. The other thing with them that's interesting, they're not a great passing team, but they're big. Excluding like Robert Woods, that's a big receiving core. These guys are like 6'2", 6'3" across the board. I mean, that's something else to keep your eye on. Tannehill's kind of up and down. Like, he was really good in that Packers game on Thursday night that they won in Green Bay. Right. You kind of never know what you're going to get with him. But that's going to be the other part of this thing is maybe the size that these guys have on the outside.
Oh, certainly. And that's something that I think guys like Bradbury and especially Darius Slay are really looking forward to in this game is the challenge of being able to be physical. So the question will be, is Gannon going to do the typical thing and allow his defensive backs to play off the ball, wait for the wide receiver to make the move, or are we actually going to see a little bit of aggression to stay closer to the line of scrimmage to make sure that a guy like Derrick Henry isn't breaking loose with your linebackers backing up your defensive line as well? So I think really the physicality factor is something Darius Slay and James Bradbury are going to be looking forward to. And look, I am in no way, shape, or form saying after one game Reed Blankenship is going to the Pro Bowl or anything like that. But the guy plays better when he plays physical. I think in the little bit we know about his game at the professional level, the very little bit, is that he prefers to be physical more so than anything. So I think he'll be aggressive in this. But Rob, when you talk about that size, you're absolutely right. But I think that these corners are going to be up to that challenge, and the secondary as a whole are going to be up to that challenge to make sure that they're keeping this game physical.
Yeah, the one thing I really like, Mark, with Blankenship, and I know he kind of got burned on that Christian Watson one later, but he didn't look scared out there, and he looked to me like he in his calling card in college was he was a hitter. but he read that pick so well and drove on that ball so well. He looked like a guy who was very well schooled, at least, and was not going to be scared. So I don't think the bright lights on Sunday are going to get to him.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. And Rob, you know what else I noticed about that? He stayed low.
Yep.
It was like he was trying to hide. And I don't even know if Aaron Rodgers saw him until that very last second, but he stayed low, stayed behind the route, and then was able to jump the pass, which was just a great play, great heads-up play, and it shows he's got a good head on his shoulders. But it's crazy. Go back to that Watson play you referenced. Yeah, Blankenship got burnt, and so did Marcus Epps.
Yep.
And Marcus Epps reminded me of my old freshman coach there at Archbishop Wood High School saying, Farzetta, you don't run to the spot where the ball is. You run to the spot where the ball's going to be.
Yeah.
And Marcus Epps tried to do that same thing, and he still got burned on that play. So, yeah, I would say this about the secondary. Let's hope, Rob, that they are playing that physical game because speed is not going to be their natural strong suit.
Yeah. Is he available Sunday, by the way, your wrestling coach? They may need him, just in case. Have him on speed dial, Mark.
He retired long ago.
Okay.
I think he retired. Yeah.
All right.
Farzy, let me get your thoughts on offensively for this football team. Jalen Hurts and his ability to run, he accounts for 65-70% of the rushing yards of this offense. Now, I don't know if those percentages are exactly accurate, but that's what it feels like when you're watching the football game. And he's going up against a defense that can stop the run.
No. Yeah, it's it's not a traditional running attack, and I think we all know that with what the Eagles are able to do. I mean, the Eagles have a guy, like imagine this. Imagine running for 140 yards, career high in yards, and you're only the second leading rusher on your team. That means Miles Sanders is still pretty damn good at running the football, but he runs in a more traditional sense, of course. He's fifth in the league right now in rushing with 900 yards, on pace for, just to blow away his old career high of 870, I want to say off the top of my head. So he's already set a new career high. But he's on pace right now for just under 1,400 yards this season. So he is doing incredible things. But Jalen, and you can prepare for that. You can prepare for the running back. When it comes to preparing for a very good scrambling quarterback, and also, by the way, a very good throwing quarterback now, that's going to be a tough task because when you look at the Titans, I mean, we talk about the Eagles secondary. The Titans secondary is right on the opposite end of that. So they're going to do whatever they can to, of course, stop the run game for the Eagles, but they're only going to have a prayer at best to try to stop what they can bring to the table as far as the passing game goes. I mean, I think you guys have talked about it, this 31st ranked passing defense in the NFL. So I look forward to Jalen Hurts, hopefully, being able to show off the arm almost as well as the leg in this game coming up against the Titans.
Hey, Marcus, Coach, how deep is A.J. Brown in Hurts' ear this week about lighting up his old team? You know, they're tight, right? What's he like? I need two deep balls at least a half. What's he lobbying for?
Yeah, no, I would say at the very least, I think Jalen Hurts and him have not stopped talking about it. When A.J. Brown wasn't feeling so great, of course, I think they were still talking about it even then. But you guys have talked to enough former athletes. I have as well, as far as they always. Well, I shouldn't say always because there's an exception. But the vast majority of times, they say the right thing. They talk about how it's just another game. Yeah, sure, it's my old team, but I got to concentrate on winning. And that's exactly the angle that A.J. Brown played this week while he was addressing the media. And I think I think you, and I think every Eagles fan, when they heard those words, they went, yeah, okay, you want to torch this team. Like, don't even try to hide it. And one of the things you could tell when he was talking about it was there was just like this little smirk. Like, hey, I am reading off the script right now, like being on the bus in Bull Durham. Like, good Lord willing, things will work out. And he is in the back of his mind thinking how bad he's going to burn this secondary. And really, I think he and Jalen Hurts are going to have themselves a good time come Sunday afternoon.
I'll tell you add to that the fact that he's had a couple of down games by his standards, and he's turned the ball over a couple times. It's like the perfect storm for the Titans that this guy's going to come in on fire on Sunday for sure.
Yeah, Rob, to your point of, like, you don't want to face a team that just lost, coming off a loss. You don't want to face a wide receiver like A.J. Brown coming off 2 games in a row where he's given up the ball, and also in between that feeling like just all hell with how he felt health-wise. So I think he's definitely going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder, not just because, obviously, it's the Titans, but because of the mistakes he's made recently.
Will the offensive game plan for the Eagles be pass first, run second, based on the bookends of this defense. Strong against the run, horrible against the pass.
Yeah. You know, it's like Seth Joyner always talks about on our pregame show. If you're really bad at one thing, then you better assume that team's going to come in here and try to exploit it. They're really bad at pass defense. So you would assume that they're going to gear up and get ready for the Eagles to air the football out. Now, that's very, very much what they could do. But one thing I'm not going to forget is that Jim Schwartz is a defensive assistant with this team. And they still very much do a very big Jim Schwartz, Jim Washburn style of defense where they enjoy the wide nine a lot. They enjoy getting after the quarterback, but they enjoy doing that with the pressure from the front four, not necessarily with outlandish blitzes, something that we got used to here in Philadelphia for a long time, and now even more so with Gannon, but you don't even have the wide nine. But when it comes to this defense, I think what they're going to do is they're going to put pressure on Jalen Hurts, but they're not going to do it with crazy blitzes. They're going to be ready for him to beat him with his arm. And that's the way a lot of teams have been able to beat the Tennessee Titans, and I think this will be a good opportunity for Jalen Hurts to show off just how good his arm can be.
I'll give you two guys you really going to have to watch. One is Simmons in the middle. He is nasty. He's from 6.5 sacks from the defensive tackle spot. And Bud Dupree, whose numbers aren't great, but he's going to present some problems. So if they're able to at least keep those two guys in check, I think they're going to be able to be successful in the air.
If the expectation is for the Eagles to win, that Jalen Hurts has to beat him with his arm, not with his legs. Jalen beat the Packers. The Eagles won the game against the Packers on Sunday night because Jalen beat the Packers with his legs. Mm-hmm. Jalen has to win the game on Sunday with his arm. Can he do it? I know he's got talent. Can he do it?
Well, he can do it, but that doesn't mean get away from the run. Yeah. I think the Eagles' game plan going forward, every game in the first half should be established to run.
Yeah.
Off of that, everything comes off that.
I'm with you. I don't want to lose sight of the run because the Titans are so bad against the pass. I just don't. I want to keep. Look, if you can kill them in the air, kill them in the air. But I don't want this to be a 15 rushing attempt game for the Eagles. I don't want that to be the case because I think even against this good team, they'll still be able to run the ball.
Well, any offensive line gets its rhythm in a game from that run blocking. Yeah. Coming off the ball, they're firing, they're hitting angles, they're getting to the next level. Mm-hmm. You know, that sets a lot of things up. For this Eagles offense, sometimes Sirianni gets too far away from the run and he airs it out too much. I just think their formula is establish that run, make this defense have to make sure Hurts is giving the ball away. They can't stunt like crazy. Just do what gets you here, you know. But when they get away from that, that's when they get in trouble.
Mark, last thought. What's your thought, brother?
My thought is, in that regard, fellas, I think we're going to have to rely on Lane Johnson because he seems to be the one to go over to the sidelines and tell Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen, let's keep this run game going. Yeah. It's working. Let's keep going. So we're going to have to rely on Lane Johnson and the rest of the offensive line, obviously. And then I think it comes down to Jalen Hurts' decision-making. If Jalen Hurts has the throw, he'll make the throw. If Jalen Hurts has the play to make with his legs and it's there, he'll make that play. I mean, this is something I know we're not very much used to in this city, but we have a guy who's playing at an MVP level at quarterback right now. I trust him to make the right decision. Even if the wrong play is called, he'll make the play. And that's also what I appreciate about Jalen Hurts. Like Lane Johnson, going over to the sideline, making suggestions, not just, hey, the defense is doing this, what do you want to do? He's saying the defense is doing this, let's do this to counter that. So I think we could trust in our MVP caliber quarterback to make sure that this team comes out with the W.
And to Mark's point, I don't think Jalen cares how he gets it. I don't care if he gets it on the ground. I don't think if he gets it on the air. This is a lot of guys looking at his numbers and all that stuff. He could care less about that. It's all about the W.
Is there, last thing, and we'll go around the horn just to get thoughts on it, and then we'll let our guest, Mark Farzetta, retire from the Kickoff
He's retiring.
Tonight. No, just from the night. Is there
a great run, fellas?
Enjoy, Mark.
Is there a way to defend the off script?
That's a hard thing to do. Is it not with this guy? I think it's really hard to defend off-script stuff with Jalen Hurts. Truly believe that.
I mean, I haven't seen a quarterback run like this guy's running since, I'm going to say Vic, like dominated games on the ground, took games over on the ground, and I don't think anybody ever truly stopped him. They found ways to contain him, flush him to the right.
He also was reckless, where he would take guys. Hurts isn't reckless.
No, he's very stingy with the ball. He doesn't make bad
Smart.
throws. He doesn't try to force things. He'll throw it out of bounds, which he's matured a lot since last season. But, you know, the Eagles' offense, when they get pass happy, you're off the field fast, and here comes your defense that has a perceived run-stop issue. I think they have to take the mindset that teams are taking against them with let's grind it out, let's keep that up. No, let's have every drive be close to be 10 plays. You know,
Derrick Henry staying on the sidelines, that's a good game plan.
Hey, just stay on the ground. This team's so tough on the ground. It's so demoralizing when you can't stop a team.
Mark Farzetta, last word, brother. What do you think?
I agree with all your brilliant points. No, okay. Here's what I got for you. They have been quarterback spying him for at least half the season. They talked about it over the last couple of weeks in the press conferences. Jalen Hurts, I think, is just that talented a quarterback where you can go ahead and have that zone coverage out there. You can have that man-to-man. You can have the quarterback spy. He's not middle linebacker or what have you. He is not relying on himself. If he needs to downshift to point guard and just distribute to the open guy or check down or bubble screen, whatever, he'll do it. Whatever, like Rob said, whatever gets the job done. That's what I love about Jalen Hurts so much. That's what I love about this team so much. They're willing to have each other's backs and make sure whatever it takes to win, they're doing on the field. And that's why I think this team is 10-1 above all else.
All right, good stuff. Mark Farzetta joining us here on the Countdown to Kickoff show. Good stuff, Mark. Great job, brother. Appreciate you, brother. We'll see you on the JAKIB pregame show from Ocean Casino Resort. Well done, Mark. Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
All right, it's good stuff from Mark Farzetta. We'll get to a commercial break. We'll pick it back up here at Screwballs on the other side.
Don't wait until after Thanksgiving for leftovers. It's the new leftover sales event at Jeff D'Ambrosio Destination Downingtown. Jeff must get rid of hundreds of new 2022 vehicles on the lot. Rams, Grand Cherokees, Wranglers. Jeff has them all for less. Jeff has reduced prices and payments to the lowest they've been all year. And Jeff knocks down high interest rates. Save thousands, more than anywhere else. Plus, get more for any trade or lease return. You always win at Jeff's. Great selection, best price. Hurry in now. Jeff D'Ambrosio Destination Downingtown. Nobody treats you better. Black Friday sales event.
Celebrating the life of your loved one is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. When the matriarch of the Dalloway family died suddenly at 82 years old, Life Celebrations by Givenish stepped in.
They will make this the easiest thing that I know it's not easy, but they will make this as easy as possible.
Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
I just know that my dad, who is in charge of everything, was not in charge of anything at that point when my mom passed. And again, just another shout out to this place for making it easy.
Turning tragedy into a celebration of life, no matter how hard, is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
And back here live on the Countdown to Kickoff show here on the JAKIB YouTube channel. Don't forget to catch the post-game show with Seth Joyner, Derek Gunn, Devin Caney, and Mike Missinelli on 6abc.com. And I wonder if they will be talking about the 11-1 Eagles who have now clinched a playoff spot already. Wow. By the way, and I know there's a lot of variables.
A lot of machinations to it.
That have to make that be a reality. But let's just assume for a moment that occurs.
Yeah.
And they clinch. At what point do they rest for the end? Now, they still want to. They still want the number one seed. Yeah. So they're not going to be thinking about that yet, but it's got to pop in there sooner or later.
I think. Well, look, you got to take two things into account. One, the way they treat training camp and preseason games. They are very much about, parsing out workload so these guys are ready as the season goes on and as it progresses. They're going to take the same approach here. Look, what I would do, I'd play them at least a half to keep them fresh. Depends on how many games it is. Like Andy Reid wasn't afraid to just sit his guys for 2 games and then boom, throw them back in there. I wouldn't do that. I would play them a little bit, get them a little bit of work. Jalen, guess what, man? You're not running around like a maniac this week. But I would get them some work. But I don't think there's any way they play 4 quarters of football if they have something locked up. And it's so critical to get that 1 seed. There's only 1 bye in each conference. Now, that's the way it works now. If you can get 1 less game you have to play, and every game's here in Philly, I mean, we know what an advantage that is. So it would be huge if they could lock that up. But, Joe, I don't think they set them the entire game. What do you think?
I don't think they do either. This Eagles offense is so rhythmic. The RPO is so rhythmic. Like, this guy did this, we're going to do that. It's so sequential. It'd be tough to set a team for a whole week without any real-time reps. I think the only thing that will dictate if any of that happens is how's the rest of this last quarter leg of the season pan out, playing the Giants and playing Dallas, and does somebody sneak up and does the Giants can steal a win, or you just never know. But I mean, I'm not a big rest them for a whole game guy. There's no way you can do that.
They will catch some heat from the league, from pundits, whatever. Let's say that Giants game could mean everything for the Giants. You could get every team in the division in the playoffs. It's very
amazing.
Possible.
That's crazy.
Because you're going to get 1 out of the North. It's just going to be Minnesota.
When's the last time that's happened?
And you're going to get 1 out of the South. Nobody's above 500 in the South. Nobody. So that game could mean everything for the Giants to be that last playoff team potentially. And you're going to have teams around them saying, come on, Eagles, play your starters, man, a little bit. Pretend like you're trying here. And I'm not saying they're going to give into that pressure, but that very well could be there. Just keep that part of it in mind, too.
Well, interesting dynamic as the season rolls on. The Titans come into town. They're going to run the football. And I wonder, go back to the opening segment of the show tonight. The very first reference that you made about our defensive front. Because we were talking about Jordan Davis being back in the lineup.
Yeah.
And it's almost hard for me to understand why the Eagles aren't strong against the run.
They should be.
They should be with those players at that caliber.
I think we talked about it 2 weeks ago. I know losing Jordan Davis hurt. I don't doubt that, but it shouldn't have hurt the way it hurt. That's not an excuse. You got to be better. You got to tackle better. What you need, too, is better consistency out of Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargraves. They have to show up every week. And with Fletcher, you never quite know. Hargraves much better against the pass than he is the run. But these guys collectively, I think Sue and Joseph have pushed them a little bit. You've seen them play better.
Yeah, I thought Fletcher played really good on Sunday.
I think they're feeling it a little bit. Yeah. They got some guys, especially with Sue, who's I think still got a lot in the tank for sure. So I think that'll help. That motivating factor will help these guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ask the question, why are they so bad against the rush? They were built to stop the pass. They're a pass rush in front. They're fast. They're a little undersized. They did bring some beef in the last couple of weeks, but then your beef's 30-some years old. They're not going to sit out there for that whole time.
Yeah.
But at least they've addressed, which I like. They've acknowledged their run-stop issues. They didn't fix it, but they bolstered it a little bit more. So I mean, it's what they have now. They got to ride with this, for the rest of the season.
What you also have to get, Joe, is your edge rushers, when Tennessee does pass, mind you, it won't be as much as they run, have got to get home. They got to get home. They got to force him into mistakes. They got to hit him. They got to finish him off. There needs to be, again, more consistency out of the Sweats of the world and that crew, throughout. with not just disappearing or not getting 3 in one game and then not getting a sack for 2 games. They got to be better.
Question on the RPO. Is it possible to stop an RPO offense by just keying on the quarterback at all times?
No.
In other words, don't allow Jalen to make the read, or every time Jalen comes, he's getting popped.
Every time he goes, he should get hit.
Yeah,
If there a handoff, he should get touched.
He should get hit.
Thudded, maybe not hit.
But you can hit him.
Just be aware that there's somebody here.
If he's just giving it, you can hit him.
Do you know what kind of defense, how uniquely athletic a defense would have to be to put a spy that could stop him, that has a man coverage that could lock up every... It doesn't exist right now in the NFL. So they're going to find their chinks in every defensive corner, but it all starts with Jalen Hurts. He's extraordinary. Michael Vick was an extraordinary runner, but he's not running a linebacker over. Jalen Hurts will run a linebacker over.
Yeah. The other part is the cerebral part. I mean, there's a lot to that RPO. Whether to give it, whether to keep it, whether to throw it. I mean, there's a lot of decision making that goes into that in a split second.
I guess my point in asking that question
I like your point. Yeah.
If he's getting hit every single time, at some point, does that have an effect on his ability to make that decision?
I think it does, first of all, and that's what the game plan should be. I'll tell you the other thing. If it doesn't happen this week, it's going to happen sooner. I can't believe it hasn't happened earlier. Some team is going to say, screw it. We're going to get 15 yards, but if it knocks him out of the game, I'll take the 15 yards.
That'll happen in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to happen. If you remember when the Eagles played Seattle and Clowney cheap shot at Wentz, what did it do? The purpose it served was it got Wentz out of the game, right? I mean, if I'm a team and I got nothing to lose, I'm doing it. I hope it doesn't happen, but eventually there is a danger there. As dynamic as he is, with the amount of carries, that someone's just going to say, I'm going to pop him. And we'll take the hit. Even that guy gets kicked out, we'll take it.
I mean, Jalen Hurts, he squats 600 pounds.
Yeah.
Like, he's built to take the punishment.
Yeah.
And his mindset is he'll take the punishment. He'll never show that he's hurt.
Right.
He's going to have to be hurt for him to show he's hurt. Because I know he's gotten hit.
He's tough.
I know that hurt.
Yeah.
Or at least a wind got knocked. He just jumps right back up and goes in. So, I mean, they're going to... Someone's going to have to just take it.
He reminds me.
How you stop the guy? I mean, seriously, how you stop this kid?
Well, what he reminds me of,
this year.
he reminds me of 2 guys in terms of his ability not to take lethal shots. When Russell Wilson was younger, he was excellent at that. Like, he would just get down, slide. Like, Michael Vick never slid. Jalen Hurts has no problem sliding. Brian Westbrook was that way, too, as a running back. He didn't take a lot of heavy hits for a smaller dude because he was just very crafty in that sense. Hurts is also that way. I mean, Henry's right. He's like, from the waist below, he's like a linebacker in terms of strength.
Right.
So he can handle it. But, a shot at his head, nobody can handle. It doesn't matter how strong you are. So I think you got to be careful and just be judicious with how many times you run the ball.
Countdown to Kickoff show as we broadcast to you from Screwballs, along with Rob Ellis and the coach, Henry Racich. I'm Joe Kraus. 1 segment to go as we broadcast to you. We'll be back. We'll get picks. We'll figure out who's going to win the game on Sunday. Back in a moment.
My name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech, we offer 3 major services. The first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
regard, defamation cases as maybe the most important or the most profound cases there are, because we only get one reputation, and you don't get a second chance once it's destroyed. To have your reputation destroyed is really to ruin everything about you. It ruins you, it ruins your family's view of you, it ruins your neighbor's view of you. You go to a party, you don't know who's looking at you sideways because they heard, you're a this or you're a that. It is an extraordinarily difficult thing to live with. And for that reason, when we represent defamation clients, it really is the most profound type case we could be handling.
On the Countdown to Kickoff show. From Screwballs here on the JAKIB YouTube channel. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe. Our final segment tonight. And man, I have never seen 360 degrees of change that I have from the coach.
In what regards?
In terms of how he feels about Jalen Hurts.
Wait a minute. I was a big Hurts fan year one. I was the one
was the
arguing
coach
with everybody.
just saying in between
Yes,
the
he
stop
was.
set?
He went into some heavy stuff. I'll let him say it.
I'll
let him
stick
say
it to it.
All right, go
I
ahead.
think Jalen Hurts is the best Eagles quarterback ever.
Whoa.
Especially in his first 2 seasons. Ever. Watch. He's going to break all the records. He's going to break them all. He's going to break them all. And that better be a quote on the JAKIB Media thing tomorrow.
I love Jalen Hurts. I'm not going there.
Leader.
Oh, my God.
The whole team identity is him. The whole offense takes on his identity. He's power. He's fast. He's a Ferrari. He's a Hummer. He's everything. All right, watch if he gets hurt. What happens?
Listen.
Where's your Super Bowl aspirations then?
I love what I'm saying, what I'm seeing. I can't go there yet. I can't go there.
I'm there.
I
was there last year.
He's been watching Kenny Pickett.
You were not there last year, Henry.
I was the one on the show defending Hurts.
You may have been defending Hurts, but there's no way.
No, I didn't say he was the greatest last year, but I'm saying this year.
He's seen too much Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky this year.
Pickett is the best ever. You kidding? Better than Bradshaw.
Oh, my God. Wow.
No, but listen, this guy, he's a clear-cut MVP right now.
I think Mahomes is right now.
All right, if Mahomes goes down, the Chiefs go down.
Yes.
If Hurts goes down.
The Eagles go down.
The Eagles go down.
That's any starting quarterback, though.
Yeah, but Mahomes isn't doing that yard damage on the ground.
He's not doing it on the ground. But I would say this. I think that he's going to be penalized. He shouldn't be. But I think voters or whomever penalize him because he's not throwing, 28 touchdowns like Mahomes is. Yeah, Hurts.
No, he's going to get penalized because he's an Eagle, and everybody hates the Eagles.
Well, but I also think it's because he does it unconventionally a little bit. I don't care. To me, get in the end zone.
He's the new model.
Yeah, but, maybe. There's very few that can do
This
that.
is amazing to me, though, because I will say, and I'm not knocking Jalen Hurts. No. Listen, I appreciate the work ethic. I appreciate in the off season the commitment and unconditional willingness to go to work on your craft, to put himself in a position to be as good as he's being. Add the weapons, all of a sudden you've got a recipe for great success. But the best quarterback ever
in Eagles, who's better than him?
In Eagles history?
Donovan?
No.
Yes.
No. Donovan can't hit a swing pass.
He hasn't won a playoff game yet. We can't go there yet, man. We can't. I mean, I love your enthusiasm.
Remember today.
Okay. You could be right.
20 years from now.
When we're doing the show from Screwballs in 20 years. When we're doing it in 2042. When we do our post-Thanksgiving show in 2042. We'll say Henry was right.
Yeah, Nick won't be here.
Yes.
Nick will still be here.
Right. No, but
I'll put my teeth in, and then we'll debate this.
I'll reel back. In his first 2 seasons, what Eagles quarterback has had this kind of success?
He's been incredibly dynamic. I will say that.
There's no doubt about that.
And he's been. I think the leap that he's taken this year from last year in terms of his ability to throw the ball has been just a dream for Eagles fans.
That's been significant.
Yeah.
Granted,
the most noticeable change is the velocity on his ball.
Yeah, there's no question. And the touch and the decision making, and he has all the intangible stuff because you see these knuckleheads like Zach Wilson and Kyler Murray and all that. This guy is the opposite of those guys, and he's the same age as they are. He's like he's 24 going on 44. He's mature as heck. He gets it. He's a leader. The old guys, Lane Johnson and Kelsey and Fletcher Cox, followed him. What does that tell you? That doesn't ever happen in that league.
The team has taken his identity.
They have.
He's
really
a
have.
humble guy, but he's been in the spotlight.
Yeah.
He's
lived this his whole life.
He's been ready for this. He's been ready for the big stage.
Yep.
And I think for a second-year player to do the things he's doing, the record-setting things he's doing, first 2 seasons as a starter for the Eagles, he's the best.
He's been incredible.
Year 1 and 2 quarterback they've ever had.
Well, they gave him a lot of weapons.
They did
in 2022.
And guess what?
That's for sure.
Weapon X. This kid needs a nickname too, but that's not it. When you give a guy like that who is a weapon other weapons, that's what elevated.
But that's what you need to do in that league. Josh Allen got Stephon Diggs. The Bills went out there and were smart enough to get him. You go to almost every team. Mahomes is kind of doing it this year after losing Tyreek Hill, which is remarkable. But
that's probably why he's
maybe
leading the MVP race right
most
now.
Organizations recognize you got to get somebody else. Like, look at what Green Bay did when they traded Devontae Adams. They kind of went this youth movement, and it's hurt them. There's no denying.
Big time.
Yeah, it's hurt them. And
nobody stepped up and filled that hole.
The Titans, who the Eagles are playing, trade away A.J. Brown, and they drafted Treylon Burks, but they didn't go out there and get another stud, and it's hurt them in the passing game, and they become very one-dimensional. So kudos to the Eagles for doing right by them, not putting it all on the shoulders.
All right, good stuff here on the Countdown to Kickoff show. Let's get some final thoughts on the show from Rob Ellis and then from the coach, Henry Racich, on the Eagles-Titans. How do you see how's this game going to play out, Rob? What's your thoughts? I'll get your pick at the end, but tell me about how it's going to play out.
I think it's close. Tennessee's good. And Tennessee's
physical.
off.
Tennessee's physical.
Yeah.
Ron Jaworski says they're a physical football team. They're a physical football team.
They are. And I'm concerned about Simmons and Dupree on their defensive line wreaking havoc, whether that's in the run game or the pass game. So I worry about that a little bit. The Goddard thing, they don't really have a replacement for him, and nobody stepped up as far as that goes. And they're really missing Avonte Maddox, who could come back and play next week, which is big. Those things concern me a little bit. The biggest concern is Derrick Henry, obviously. I think this is a hard-fought, really, sounds cliche to say, but I think it's going to be one of these games where both teams are just trading like haymakers in the middle of the ring. I think it's going to be a really hard-fought game, tight.
I agree, and I think whatever team shows up for Tennessee, if they get that run game going, it's going to be a long day in Philly.
Yeah.
It is. It's they're not the Commanders on the ground, but they can be 2 times the Commanders on the ground. So if they can get that run game going, they could sneak up and win this game.
Contain it early and get the Titans thinking they got to throw a little bit more than they're comfortable with, and that's how you're going to. That's the formula. You'll win this game. You'll 100% win this game.
Our NFL insider who covers the Eagles for JAKIB Sports, John McMullen, also co-host of Birds 365, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., always categorizes the game as each game has its own personality. Each game will develop its own. The personality of the game will unfold as the game goes on. Yeah. What will the personality of this game be?
I think the personality of this game is going to be the Titans trying to enforce their will on the Eagles because they don't believe that the Eagles can stop the run. Until proven otherwise, that's what it's going to be. They are going to come right out. There's not going to be a lot of pretense. It's going to be, we're handing it to this guy, stop it. That's it. They're going to flat out say that.
I agree 100%. Vrabel is a physical guy.
Yep.
His mindset is smash mouth all the way. And that is the exact thing he's going to try to do to this Eagles defense. By attrition, he wants to wear this defense down, keep the offense, follow the blueprint.
Yeah, it's going to be the Washington game. Yeah, they're going back 3 games. There's no doubt in my mind that
those 2 teams are not that.
Yeah.
The Commanders don't throw the ball over the place. They don't have that air attack. They're a ground team, and they were successful. He will follow that blueprint.
So here's what I would tell you has to happen. The Eagles got to stop turning the ball over, number one. It's something they were great at up until the Washington game, and they've been sloppy with that. They got to be better. That's the first. I mean, the obvious thing is stop the run, but they can't give the ball away in this game. I think that's going to be one of the biggest keys. Convert third downs. If you go back to the Packers game, the Eagles were very good converting third downs, and the Packers sucked at it. That's a great way to get Tennessee off the field on third down and get your offense on the field. If you go back to the Washington game, Washington killed them on third down. Third down is going to be a key for me on this thing with the Eagles defense getting off the field.
I watched something in that game against the Packers that I didn't really think I would see. Jalen Hurts on fourth and short, or third and short and fourth and short, got stopped twice, stuffed back to back.
Yeah, well, something threw them off. They said that the Packers defense gave them a snap count, which is illegal. Kelsey, if you watch, sort of snaps it, but never really hands it to Jalen. Then the ball gets knocked loose, and Sanders. The whole play was just screwed from the jump.
That was kind of a fluke.
I don't see that happening again. Like, I trust that play where they're pushing Jalen from behind, and he picks up the first down. I feel good if they're in that situation again. I would not have gone for it, however, on my own 36, like Sirianni did. It's a little sketchy.
Picks for the game with your score.
24-23 Eagles. It's a 1-point game.
Whoa.
Yes.
What's the line, by the way?
5.5, 6. Eagles favorite. Yeah. I think it's a 1-point game. Eagles survive.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go 24-20 Birds.
Like it.
It's going to be.
This is so crazy to see, Henry. This is so crazy to watch.
What, you want to pick against them?
No, I just.
If the Titans had a better air game, I would lean more towards them.
I think you picked against the Eagles every countdown to kickoff a year ago.
The hysterical thing is, with Tony Bruno here, I won all the picks. I don't get the love. My coach
Give
comes
him
out.
some love.
My percentages are high.
All right.
He sweeps me under the rug, Rob.
Let's go.
Sweeps me under the rug.
Mark it down in the book,
The transformation of the coach.
But I'll tell you what, Derrick Henry in the screen package is kind of scary.
That is kind of scary.
What he did to Cincinnati.
Because he can run, too. Like, he's not just this big bruising dude. He's athletic on top of – he's a nightmare, man. He is an
I've seen
nightmare.
him break long runs before, but something about that Bengals screen, when he was in midfield to hit that other gear, I was like, wow, that dude is really –
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. One thing to watch, if it's like a 3rd and 5 and 3rd and goal from the 5 and Tennessee has the ball, go back to that Packers game. They do a jump handoff. He gets the ball. He pretends like he's going to go over the top, and he throws it. Watch for that. That's going to be something the Eagles have in the back of their mind. It's a dangerous play.
You know, the Bengals, their play calling for the Titans is a little like Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it is.
First down run.
Second down run.
Third down pass. And that's how the Bengals really jammed them up.
It's predictable.
They brought 8 and downs 1 and 2.
Yep.
The Eagles can do that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot easier day to get.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yes.
Eagles and the Titans. We thank everybody for tuning in and being, of course, out here at Screwballs for the countdown to kickoff here on the JAKIB YouTube channel. We'll be right back here next Thursday, and we'll see what the coach has to say.
When he's right on his prediction.
I love it.
For Rob Ellis, for the coach, and for everybody who came out for the Countdown to Kickoff show, I'm Joe Kraus. See you next time, everybody.